All right, hey everybody, my name's Steve Soloff with InformTheVoteNJ.com. I'm sitting here today with Sean Pignatelli, who is running for Township Committee in Downe Township. Just to give a little bit of background information, the reason why I started my website is because every year we get those ballots with all the names on them, and people tend to pay attention to national politics, but oftentimes not so much to local politics. And so I just wanted to go down the rabbit hole and figure out who everybody is, so that when I go to the ballot box, I actually have some information to base my vote on. So
yeah, well, that's fair.
Right? Yeah.
Every voter should be informed as much as possible. Those ballots, they come out most of the time. Voters are, like we talked about, voters are looking at the names on there, and sometimes they don't even know who they are. So it definitely makes a big deal, especially with local politics. If you want to get certain things done in your community, that's what you should be looking at.
And so up front, I want to thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to do it.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me. And like I said, this is something I think all voters should be informed about. And I have no problem sitting down with anybody and opening up the book and going through everything with you.
Cool. So let's get into a little bit. So quite literally, this is the first time we were sitting down and having a conversation. So
yeah.
Why don't you give a little bit of background information for other people like me who are just getting to know you?
Yeah, sure. So my family has actually owned a place in Downe Township since the 70s. We were it started out as like a fishing thing, a second home, home away from home, summer home, whatever you want to call it. But as the years went by, we started coming down more often. Before we know it, I had an extra house there as well, and we decided to just move in full time. And the community itself is great. It's very tight, and we just love it. I mean, people are walking by all the time waving, we're waving back. You can have a conversation with anybody out there. It's very friendly.
Very community, tight-knit kind of thing.
Yes, and I mean, one of the downfalls to that is if there's any rumors going on, everybody knows. Absolutely.
I mean, that reminds me, I spent a year and a half in Vietnam during COVID. And so all the tourists were gone, but all the travelers and the locals were together. Yeah. And it was like that. You would just walk down the street, you just know everybody's name, hang out, do whatever.
And I mean, in Downe Township, we have our smaller communities. You got Dividing Creek, Newport, Gandy's Beach, Money Island, Fortescue. But it doesn't matter. For me who lives in Fortescue, for me to go to Newport or Dividing Creek, there's always people you recognize. There's always people you can shake hands with and have a conversation right off the bat. It's really nice, and a tight community. I love it.
That sounds great. I mean, I really love that type of atmosphere when I was over in Da Nang. But to move on, then what made you take the switch into politics?
Actually, back in 2020, my brother, who was 14 months older than me, he had passed away. And that just kind of got me thinking, how short life really is. And not for nothing, I've always been really big on helping my neighbor, helping our community just thrive and do better. Sometimes I put my foot on the gas pedal a little too much, and I push people a little too much. But that just helps set goals higher. And, something like when we were talking about the Dividing Creek Park, that is a huge goal. It would be the first township-owned park ever put in Downe Township.
Actually, that's a good segue right into that. That was going to be the next topic. So when I was looking online, I could see all the activities that are already available in Downe Township, from the crabbing, the hiking, walking on the beach, all that kind of stuff. Could you help someone like me, an outsider looking in, what's specific and unique to this park that you're trying to push for?
Yeah, well, that's a fair point. I mean, we have a lot of stuff already, especially if you love nature. But the thing is, most of the kids in Downe Township aren't really in tune with nature just yet. They're all about their video games. They're all about playing sports, you know, getting their knees dirty, having fun. And that's something that we really wanted to focus on, is getting these kids outside and playing.
Right.
Not only that though, like some of the other things we were looking at having in the park, you know, it's going to be more of like a community focal point where just the community can come together and do stuff as a group. Aside from just, you know, bringing your kids out to play, like we're going to actually have group activities.
Okay.
One of the big things that I was hoping for is if it was completed by now, you know, we would have an Easter egg hunt, a township-wide Easter egg hunt there. Like, it just opens the doors up for so many other things. And, you know, people hear, oh, well, it's a park. You know, we know what a park is. We grew up with parks. It's not a big deal. It is a big deal. That's why every community has a park that they can go to, and all different kinds of events that they can do as groups.
Sure.
So that is definitely a major point that we want to hit on.
Cool. And so then you briefly touched on you were hoping it would be done by now. My reading online said you guys were hoping to have it done by Christmas. Do you have any thoughts on what's going on with that?
Well, we're a team, and sometimes as a team you have to make decisions that just aren't as good as we would hope they would be. The planning part of the park is done. The funding is in place. The contracts are ready to go. We're just waiting on township officials to sign those contracts, and then they can break ground and get everything started. I know one of the major problems right now is we have a current very large sewer project going on. That takes up a lot of time from our township officials. So if they feel they can't commit at this moment to the park, then we're just gonna have to wait.
Okay, yeah, sounds reasonable. I mean, going down the rabbit hole myself, a lot of leadership, they have so much on their plate.
Yes.
And so, yeah, hopefully it's just around the corner.
Yeah, we're keeping our fingers crossed. We're going to keep thinking positive, and we're going to keep moving forward. I think that's really all we can do at this point.
Yeah, sure. So then this is going to be a little bit of a sidestep because it relates to my journey. But basically, I was looking up the Newport Veterans Memorial idea or topic online, and one thing that kept happening was there's another Newport in Pennsylvania.
Yes.
And they're having a very similar project going on.
Yes.
And so I'm Googling around and reading, and I'm like, oh wait, something about this doesn't sound right. And then I look a little deeper and I'm like, oh, this is in the other state.
Yes.
Just like people may not be aware, there's a Cumberland County in Pennsylvania as well. And when I was first looking people up...
And I believe there's one in North Carolina.
Is there really?
I think so. If you just Google Cumberland County, I think it's North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey that usually come up.
So there's been at least a handful of topics over the past couple years where I hear from leadership, oh, just Google it. And I get it. The information's there, but the average person is not really an investigative journalist. And I'm kind of sort of playing that role right now because I have the time or whatever. But the basic point I want to bring up with you is, how do you feel about trying to help leadership make the information pipeline from candidate or already elected official to the constituent easier?
Right. Well, in Downe Township last year, during the year 24, we had a newsletter go out once a quarter for all 4 quarters, and that got a lot of people talking, and that was something they really loved. They had the information right there in front of them. And we didn't go crazy with it, you know, it was something very simple, you know, a couple pictures here and there, but make it more something that's short, sweet, to the point, so that they know, hey, this is what's going on. I don't have to worry about the rumor mill over there. And I think that is something that really benefits every community. As much as everybody says, technology's taken a step and you're not going to see newspapers, you're not going to see any of that stuff come to your house anymore. I think a township, even a county, that's something that needs to be handed to people in order for them to get and just be able to be informed.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you took a lot of the words right out of my mouth there. I looked at the newsletter myself, and exactly what you said. It was 2 or 3 pages. Here are the bullet points, the important takeaways. This is what you need to pay attention to. Because who has time to read 400 pages on the middle mile broadband?
Right.
I can't. I can't spend all day every day on this kind of stuff.
And we were lucky enough, sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
We were lucky enough that our Clean Communities grant actually takes care of that for us. So if it's not costing our residents any extra money in taxes, why not give them what they need? Give them the information, hand it right over to them, and let them stay informed. I think that's the best way to bring a community together. And I think it's a great way for our township leaders to gain the trust of the residents. They're not hiding anything. Here's all the information.
Right. And they might not even be hiding anything on purpose or whatever. It's just, it appears that way because it's, I have my job and I got other things to do. Please help me. Here's what you need to pay attention to.
Yeah, and I've heard it from a lot of residents. I've been knocking on doors for a while now, and the first thing they say is, well, I'm not going to the township meeting because they just lie anyways.
Right.
And it's well, I understand trust is earned, but you got to take a little initiative.
It's a two-way street.
Yes, exactly. Go to the meeting, ask a couple questions. If you have to, you can fact check them, you can look them up afterwards, and you can get the real information. But give our leaders a chance.
Sure.
And that's all they're asking for. Give us a chance to do what's best for you. They don't want to hide anything, or at least I don't think they want to hide anything. They want to be very open and transparent about everything.
Yeah, sure. So then let's dive into the Veterans Memorial. I really didn't find much online about that when I looked into it, so please let me know.
Excuse me. Okay, so it's more or less just talk. So that was another project our rec committee was taking on. We wanted to do the Dividing Creek Park project for Dividing Creek, and then we also wanted to do a Newport Veterans Memorial for Newport. Kind of like you said, sometimes we get swamped with things, but we actually got together with the Historic Commission, and they thought it was a great idea. This is something that they wanted to work on with us as well. But basically, after it got to a certain point, we were just the rec committee can't handle all of this stuff. We're doing the newsletter, we're doing contests, we're just nonstop doing stuff. And so our environmental commission, the green team, actually kind of took over for the rec committee. So they are together with our historic commission, and they're trying to bring that to life. What they need is a little support from our township leaders, though. As soon as they get that, I can see that coming in very quickly. And they were talking about doing a community garden along with the Veterans Memorial. I think that's awesome. So you're talking about another place that people could gather, and at the same time, you're acknowledging the service that residents in our township have provided. Thank you for your work.
Sure.
Thank you for your service. I think that needs to be up there, bold and clear.
Sure.
That we respect our veterans. Thank you for your service.
Yeah, okay, understood. So the next thing was going to be the newsletter, but we already did that. But then I guess
I was going to say, to touch on the newsletter, that's something we would like to be I'm having a brain fart, being put on the spot. I get these brain farts. But we want to be an advocate for the rest of the county. The whole county should have newsletters like this, whether it comes from your township or whether it comes from the county. This is information that people need. There's things that go on at the county level that take care of all the seniors. There's different programs they have available to seniors.
I was gonna get into that.
But our certain townships, the residents don't know about those programs.
So you're kind of thinking about like informational liaison type work.
Yes, absolutely. I think every township should have some sort of liaison with the county.
Yeah, and you might have to do, I was thinking about this earlier, like a little bit of boots on the ground, like maybe the county has to call people and be like, what do you need?
Yeah.
Because people might not be aware that the services are available or anything like that.
Exactly, and not for nothing, like I said, we're a team. It doesn't matter if you're a township official, it doesn't matter if you're a county commissioner, like we're all on the same team. We all want what's best for the community. Let's work together. Let's do it together. Let's make it happen. I think, just that collaboration gets lost a lot by some leaders, and as soon as they bring it back, I think you're going to see a lot more get done.
Yeah, I agree. Once the cooperation and coordination's there, a lot of things can happen.
Oh yeah.
So then that'll lead into my next topic, which it's going to be a little bit more focused on my website and just getting your opinion on some ideas that I have sitting around. So, over the past couple years, I've gone to county commissioner meetings, trying to get coordination for my website. I've contacted all the candidates on the ballots from the contact information that they have through the county clerk. I've written to the legislators about introducing new types of legislation to help information get disseminated a little bit better. And so the first thing that I think would help the voters in the county get more informed about their vote is to reintroduce local civics into public schools or all schools, in the sense that if I don't even know how my county government works or my township government works, how do I know who's telling me the right information about their candidacy? Right? It's like you could be saying anything, and I'm like, maybe that doesn't even apply to how government works.
Maybe. No, I would be a strong advocate for that. I would love to see civics brought back into schools. It used to be, but as we moved on with generations, things have been taken out. And I think we're losing a lot of really good focal points. Like you said, if you don't know how your township works and operates, like how do you know they actually have your best interests in mind? You don't. Same thing with at the county level. And there's a lot of people at the county who will sit down and talk to you. They will actually explain things, and those people are dedicated to these residents, which is awesome. I love that. And that's exactly the trend that I'm looking to do. I want to be out there, so to call it, in the field. I want to be able to talk to these residents. What do you need? What would you like to see changed? Let's do it.
Sure. Yeah. Then the second idea would be to have the county basically do what I'm doing. Like, I don't want to name any names, but a couple people, they think when I'm doing this sort of thing that I'm trying to like monetize a business or get an inside scoop or, you know what I mean, get attention or all these kinds of things. It's like, no, I legitimately just want to know what I'm voting for. And so the idea would be to have a neutral service go through the county where they just, I imagine you had to hand in your signatures to the county clerk, right?
Yes.
Well, when you do that, maybe the county clerk just gives you a questionnaire packet and you can fill it out at your leisure. And then they say, well, maybe we'll do a podcast interview like this where some somebody's just asking you honest questions, you know?
In my opinion, it's public information. If the county can easily ask a candidate, what's your platform? Where can people go to find your platform? They should be able to easily print that on a piece of paper and send it out to every resident.
Right.
Not for nothing, on my way over here, I checked to see if the sample ballots were available. You cannot find any 2025 primary sample ballots on the county clerk website.
And aren't the mail-in ballots already
Mail-in
out?
ballots already went out. So anybody who got their mail-in ballots, which I believe it said on the county website, you should have them by May 1st.
Yeah.
There's your sample ballot. But not for nothing, this is the first year that the Republican primary is changed. Last year, the Democrats, it was changed.
Are you talking about the county lines?
Yes.
Okay.
So last year, the Democrat county line was thrown out. This year, the Republican county line is also thrown out. Okay, so these Republican...
Now we need to know what this new system is.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Like, just to get it posted on their website would be a lifesaver for some people. I mean, you look at our senior community, they've been doing something the same way for God knows how long, and now all of a sudden it's changing. They don't even know that it's changed yet, I don't think.
Yep.
I don't see too much advertising from even our Republican organization saying, hey, just to give you a heads up, the ballot's changed. This is what you're going to be seeing opposed to what you saw last year.
Right.
Sometimes just a little information goes a long way with residents.
Hey, well, sounds like you're on the same page with that kind of stuff. And then thirdly, some way to rebuild local press coverage. Now, in my journey of trying to get information, I drove by the Daily Journal building, and obviously it's shut down now. And now it's absorbed by some parent company, and the coverage is questionable. And then I tried to reach out to the Vineland Voice about maybe collaborating with what I'm doing, and he said, well, we're rebranding this year, maybe we'll think about it, that kind of thing. And now I'm noticing this guy, Joseph Smith, I don't know if you...
I think I've heard of him.
Yeah, but he used to cover a lot of the local politics.
Yes.
And now I'm seeing him come back, but the thing, it just feels loose. As in, half the stuff that I'm uncovering would not be that hard if we had a couple of trusted people. Like, I think half of my problem is people just don't know who I am. It's like, who's this random guy asking too many questions type thing.
Yeah, kind of the way
fair.
I felt when I walked in here.
Right. And that's fair. Like, you know, I could be tricking you, I could be a mole for the other party or whatever it is, and I get it. The current state of politics is very weird. But I think if we found a handful of people that we knew, like, okay, you're a cool guy, you're a cool girl, whatever, come on in, we'll talk, you know. I
mean, not for nothing, that sounds great. To me, the one thing I always notice is depending on which newspaper you're reading, you're going to get that point of view.
Yep.
You know, I would really love to see our county and all the townships, all the cities, all the municipalities get together and say, look, we're going to start doing these newsletters because they can make it unbiased. And they can just give you the information without trying to sugarcoat anything. Yeah, and that's why I said, like, we want to be an advocate to the rest of the county as far as that newsletter goes. We want to see everybody getting something like that in their hand, and they got all the information right in front of them now. Even something quarterly, yearly, I mean, it really is not as bad as what people think. Some of our newsletters, the cost, you know, we have to make that public information. Well, the cost on some of our newsletters are like $350.
Yep.
And compared to what these other press companies are paying for, you're talking about $1,500 a newsletter. For us to be only spending $350,
Hey.
so that We have about 1,489 residents, 1,489 residents. For every one of those residents to get a copy of that newsletter, I would happily spend that $350 all the time.
Sure, it's quick and efficient.
And they got all the information. You don't have to worry about, just any resident coming and saying, hey, I heard a rumor from my neighbor Joe Blow. He said that this is what's going on, and I came to you because I need to know if that's true. Mm-hmm. Well, if you had that newsletter, guess what? You'd save this guy a trip to the township. I mean, not saying we wouldn't want him there. I mean, we would love to have more people attend.
Well, yeah, I mean, just to piggyback off that, there was an issue in Lawrence Township about a new company coming into town, and I saw the rumors online and all this kind of stuff. Then when I went to the township meeting, a lot of that was just, it wasn't accurate information.
Right.
And it seemed like the company came in, they were doing everything by the book, everything looks cool. But a lot of the heat could have been cooled down by just having somebody go over there and ask a couple questions and, figure it out. And then you just post that online, like, okay, we saw a couple rumors, we sent somebody out to handle it,
right.
And it's no big deal.
And you know what, with today's technology, it is very easy to get facts.
This is being done on a phone.
I mean, they're talking about these new programs. I don't know if you've heard of them, Perplexity.ai. It's basically like a chat GPT, but you can ask it any question, and it will go through the whole web. It will search and find all the information it can and give you the answer based off of sources. And they're not, of course, they're not there to sugarcoat anything. They just want you to have the facts.
Right.
Not for nothing, but if it's as easy as that, why not just inform people that there's programs out there that if you have a question, you can go here to this website and they'll answer it for you.
Yep.
I mean, how many times have you gone to, let's say, a county commissioners meeting or even a township meeting, and you ask a question, they're like, you know what? I don't have that answer right now, but I'll get back to you. Okay, well, not for nothing, pull out your phone and search it up, and while everybody's there, say, hey, here's the answer. And now everybody's more informed.
It's making me think of the Joe Rogan podcast where Jamie's in the background, like searching things up and pulling it up on the screen. I mean, I don't know if we literally want to do that, but you're highlighting the point. Like, there's a lot of possibilities.
I don't see what would be wrong with that, though.
Oh, no. I'm just saying, like, I don't know if, like, a final decision, like, is that exactly how we want to do it, or is there a variation of it, or whatever?
Yeah, I'm sure somebody's going to search it up, they're going to write it down, slip a paper to whoever your leader is, and they're going to read it off.
Yeah.
But again, like, we have the technology available.
Right.
Let's use it.
Right. And you know what? To kind of steel man the other side of that, AI does make mistakes or whatever.
Yes.
But
a lot of mistakes.
it gets you from 0 to like 75% very quickly, and then you can just go back and double check after the meeting, and not everything has to be like 100% right now, all the answers.
Right. Well, you're gonna basically get your subject, the part, and then you can go back and get the details. Like I said, technology has advanced. We have these things available at our disposal. Why not take advantage?
If we don't keep up, somebody else will.
Absolutely. Right. And I think, I definitely don't mean offense to our county in general, but we are the poorest county in New Jersey.
You got to call a spade a spade.
Eventually, we are going to be phased out. So before we get phased out, let's take advantage of every possible road and go down each road. Let's try AI. Let's try this newsletter thing. Let's try, bringing in more recreation into our county. Let's try these different things, and who knows? Something might set off, and guess what? Now you're not the poorest county in New Jersey anymore.
Or even if we are, we're still doing okay.
Yeah, and what's wrong with that? People love Cumberland County. That's why they move here. That's why they raise their families here. If they didn't love it, they wouldn't be here.
It's got a particular feel, you know. When I was growing up, I just kind of, this is my world, right? I don't know any better. But as I mentioned before, I've done a fair bit of traveling, and we have a particular feel.
Yes.
You know, we've got the Bay Shore.
Yes.
We're not that far from Philly. We're not that far from Ocean City, all these other things, but we're like semi-rural, or I don't even know the proper word to say it, but it's a lot more rural than I realized growing up.
Yes.
But that is an attraction. That is a charm.
And we see it right in Downe Township. You know, like Newport is more rural. And Dividing Creek, the houses are close together. It's more like our suburbs of Downe Township. And then you got like Fortescue, Yannies Beach, and Money Island, which is, you know, I would say more like a senior investment, you know, opportunities for more recreation for adults. We've got like the best of all the worlds in one township. Again, we need to focus on each part, and let's add something. You know, if Dividing Creek statistically has the most children in it, that's why we picked Dividing Creek for the park. You know, Newport statistically has the most veterans. That's why we picked Newport for the Veterans Memorial. There are reasons that we pick certain things for certain communities, I guess. I don't like the word village, and everybody calls them villages. I always think of like teepees, and I'm like, no, we're not that low class. But yeah, like, we got the best of everything in Downe Township, and we just need a couple good leaders who can move things forward. Something as simple as a cell phone tower would go a long way. We still have very spotty service everywhere. So, you know, just get out there, talk to the residents. They'll tell you what it is they need, what they want to see changed, and just follow through with it.
Yeah, sounds good. Well then, so let's move on to the senior services. Now, when I reviewed online the township site and the ADRC site, the vibe I was getting was, okay, it seems as though there are services available, but it doesn't necessarily go in depth about what they are. And it's kind of touching back on what we were talking about before. Can you give me a little bit more of like a boots on the ground perspective on what's listed on the website versus what's actually happening? So
we, in Downe Township, we actually have an awesome senior community. It's just called the Downe Township Seniors. And they are able to get out there. The president himself, Doug Cook, he goes to the county. He gets these speakers to come speak to all the residents, all the senior residents, and let them know, like, hey, this is what's available for you guys. This is what you can do. This is how you can apply. Like, they give them all the information. I think that's great. But I also kind of think it's not necessary. I think that's something a township should have on a website. We shouldn't have to force our seniors to join a group or to come to a meeting to get the information they need. If they're having problems with paying their electric bill, they should be able to go on our website, and right there it says, are you having problems paying your electric bill? Click here. And it'll bring up all the programs available to them. If you look at our website, like, it is just really outdated. It's very hard to navigate. The last time I was on there was just a couple days ago, and for 2025, there are no meeting minutes on there yet.
Another common theme.
Yes. So, I mean, I understand we struggle with finances. We are the poorest county, so we're not going to have too much money to work with. But there's options out there. There's other options than just thinking, oh, well, it's going to cost me 20 grand to upgrade the website, so no, we're not going to do that. There's people out there who can make a website, show you how to operate it, and you're only paying $200 or $300 a year.
You're taking the words right out of my mouth.
For a service that you can provide to them.
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
No, I was about to say Lawrence Township sounds like it's having a similar issue where they pay quite a bit of money, and it takes quite a while to get updates, like updating the minutes, or a new service. I hear something about texting the municipal clerk through your phone, that kind of thing. And those are great ideas, and not to disparage anything, it looks like they're trying to move forward with all these things, but $20,000 a year versus, you can go on Wix, and you know, maybe somebody in the older generation is going to fumble around with it, but people our age, I could get that done in a weekend.
Absolutely.
I mean, at least the skeleton.
Absolutely.
The content management is different, but...
So, here's something for you. Our newsletter.
Yeah.
The whole designing process, you know, that took a while to start. But once we had a good template down, now it takes no time at all. What takes the most time is getting the information. You know, instead of the township handing us information to put in the newsletter, we got to go ask these people, we got to go ask these people. That's what's the most time consuming for us. But like you said, with Wix, you know, that's another website design company that basically will give you everything to start. If you're tech savvy, you'll have a website up in a weekend. If you're not tech savvy, you'll still probably have a website up in a week. And all you have to do is just go on there and update it. Get the information, update it. Easy as that.
Yep.
And last time I checked, they were, I want to say between $500 and $1,000 for the year.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
If there's a cheaper, easier, more efficient way to do something.
I think maybe, to be fair, part of the cost is having somebody actually do the content management.
Yes.
But if you had an efficient pipeline in place, it wouldn't be that hard.
With the way technology is right now, I think every person who works for the county or works for the township should have at least some general knowledge of how to work systems like that. I mean, when I first turned, let's say 18, and I went to apply for my first job, people were asking, do you know how to use Microsoft Word? Yeah, I was taught that in school.
Yeah.
Okay, well, technology keeps evolving. So for somebody like me, I see an opportunity like that and I want to learn it.
Sure.
This is only something that's going to help everybody else. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get it done.
I agree. Let's upgrade. So then moving on to the young family assistance, it's the same kind of thing.
Yeah, I was going to say they have the same things. There's a lot of programs out there that can help young families. Gateway is a big one, but they don't know about it. I think we were looking this up just last night. I think it was on Gateway's website. If you are a single parent and you make less than, I think it was $7,900 a month,
okay,
you can get your electric paid.
Oh wow. Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's
huge
swath of the population.
I mean, not for nothing. I don't make $7,900 a month, so that might be something I'm going to look into. But
right.
if the information was out there, these people, especially our residents in Downe Township, they could take advantage of these things, and they could live more comfortable lives. That's what you need to do as a leader. Give the resident the resources to live a happy life. Let them raise their family in your township. I think that goes a long way.
Sure. So, information liaison type stuff.
Exactly.
Then the next topic we had was engaging the residents, which, I mean, is basically related to what we were just saying. But for somebody like you who's on the Environmental Commission, and I saw that you recently hosted a Recreation Committee meeting at your house, why don't you explain a little bit about how you approach engaging the residents?
I'm hands-on, very hands-on. If somebody were to call me and say, hey, Sean, I have a question about what the Recreation Committee is about to do. I'll be at your house. This is something I want to talk to you in person about, because over the phone, and especially with text messages, like, things can get lost very easily.
Oh, sure.
You don't know the tone, you don't know if they're being sarcastic. Like, that's how I like to work. I like to be engaged directly with our residents, and they know that. Most of our residents know, hey, if I text Sean or call Sean, he's going to come over. Or he's going to say, if you're not busy, come over to my house and have some coffee and we'll talk about it. That communication is definitely probably one of the biggest issues a lot of townships, counties, municipalities, everything. It's a big issue that everybody faces. And like we were talking about earlier with, just technology moving forward, that can help you communicate. That newsletter will help you communicate.
Yeah.
And if people have questions, there's always an open door. You can always knock on my door. You can call me. You can text. Let me know.
Sure.
And we can get it fixed or get something else done.
I wonder if maybe, should you get elected, is there an opportunity to maybe standardize that type of practice? I guess you can't literally force other people in leadership to do that type of thing, but maybe you could set the tone, or I don't know.
Well, if elected, the first thing, a lot of people would not see me inside the building. They would see me outside talking with the residents, trying to get projects done, move the community forward. That's something they would see off the bat. But if I decide to take a vacation for a weekend or something, I'm not around, I think we should absolutely have some sort of Dropbox. If somebody has a suggestion or if somebody has an opinion, and absolutely you could remain anonymous, drop it in there. We need to know these things. We need to know, how have we been affecting your life? Is your life getting better? Is it getting worse? Because we're here to keep making it get better.
Right.
And if we're doing something wrong, we need to know about it.
Right.
Again, it's a two-way street.
Sure.
The leaders are elected by the people because they feel as if these leaders have their best interest in mind. If they start to feel like that or defer from that at all, they need to be able to speak up.
Yeah, they need to feel comfortable relaying their concerns.
And that's why I said, doing it anonymously, they don't have to worry about anything coming back to them, and they can be sure that their leader knows their thoughts. I think it's as easy as that. Like I said, two-way street.
Cool. And then I guess to wrap up, is there anything on your mind that you think we haven't touched on?
No, I don't think there's too much. I did bring a little note here, so
Yeah, well,
I just want to double check that we went over everything for the good of Downe Township.
Sure.
No, I think we covered everything great.
Cool.
One last big thing that I'll point out is what we were talking about earlier with the collaboration between township and county. I would love to see that. I think, there's been a couple times I told you where I've talked to Commissioner Albright, and it's so much easier. If you have a question about something, the county might have the answer. If the county has a question, a township might have the answer. Bring that collaboration in and just continue moving forward.
Cool. Yeah. Well, sounds great. The election's coming up on June 10th. If you guys like what you hear, Sean Pignatelli, and informthevotenj.com so you can look over your other options. Again, I'm here to create a level playing field for everybody.
And again, I think what you're doing is awesome. I think every resident should be aware of those names on the ballot, who they are, what they stand for.
Right.
I'm a pro-life candidate. So if somebody's saying they want more rights to abortion, I don't want to vote for that person.
Sure. But just to clarify, your specific position would not have anything to do with that directly.
Exactly.
Right. But to the point, and I've come across this, like when I covered 2023 with Testa versus this guy, Charles Laspata. Do you remember that? You know, I don't know who this guy Charles Laspata is, but he ghosted the campaign as per the Atlantic City Press, and everybody lost their mind about Roe v. Wade being overturned. Which
Correct.
is, I get it, everybody has their own opinions and perspective, but if 40% of the vote went to a guy who would have been directly affecting,
Absolutely.
everybody should know.
Yes.
Like, what is that guy's position?
And, you know, not for nothing, no one person's perfect. You know, everybody has different opinions, and that's why we have, you know, for us in our township, that's why we have 5 township committeemen. For the county, they have 7 commissioners. You know, we have our state assembly, our state senators. Like, everybody does everything as a team, as a group. Because, yeah, just one opinion isn't always going to be the right opinion.
Sure.
Now we're talking Caesar.
Of course.
I think the way our government runs, I think it is efficient. But I do see a couple cracks that can be filled. You know, something as simple as a newsletter, something as simple as collaboration. You know, let's fill those gaps and turn this into one of the best counties, one of the best townships, one of the best states.
Yeah, I totally agree. A little bit more cooperation and coordination could pay dividends.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, thank you very much,
Oh,
Sean.
yeah, thanks for having me.
Very nice to meet you.
It was a
and,
pleasure.
You know, for something as important as politics, especially in recent years, this is a good step forward, I think.
Yeah, well, I hope so. That's what I'm standing here for. Step forward.
Cool. Thank you again for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
InformTheVoteNJ.com, Sean Pignatelli.